So, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you all for coming back and coming back on time. We have a really important afternoon session where you're going to hear from the leaders of the three largest personal computer and server companies, HP, Dell, and first Lenovo. Very, very senior executives join us. Interestingly, their careers all intertwine. They know each other quite well. And it's going to be a really exciting afternoon to ask about lots of the questions. And I'm very pleased that all three sessions will be Q&A. And so you'll be using the app to submit the questions, and we should have a really fun session. So I'd like to start off the afternoon by inviting Gianfranco Lanci, the COO of Lenovo, on stage. And Eric Cador, who leads Lenovo in Europe. Eric. I'll go to the far side. So the app should be live. You can submit your questions as we did for the session with Meg. But let me start, as we did last time, with a couple of warm-up questions. So, Gianfranco, this time last year, you were just about to close the acquisition of the IBM X Series business. How is that transition going? What do you have to update us on?
Well, I think it's going quite well in the sense that integration is almost done. We integrate completely the product lineup. Supply chain is being integrated together with PC. We are moving very fast also in terms of sales and marketing integration. I think it's maybe another quarter, but it's really done. In 1 year, I think it's a very good, great result. We are starting to see revenue coming back to growth, and even more important, to be profitable.
Okay. So it's going well. It's already back to growth, or
yes.
It's already back to growth? Okay.
It's already back to growth, and we start to make some money.
Okay. Eric, this time last year, you attended this event as a distinguished guest, and somehow Lenovo persuaded you to join them. What was it about Lenovo that persuaded you to join?
Well, I think it's all about timing to start with. We had a good discussion with Gianfranco at that time. But fundamentally, it's the fact that I was convinced that Lenovo has what it takes to be successful. And I would name three things. First, it's a real, true product company. If you look at the device, it ranges from watches, phones, tablet, PC, and I think that will be essential in the future. And at the same time, all the enterprise infrastructure products. So to put it in your words, in a more modern style, all the devices to consume information in the cloud and all the infrastructure to run the information in the cloud. So really an end-to-end product offer, which is remarkable. Two, Lenovo has a remarkable manufacturing and logistic capabilities. And I think in this world where the pressure is on speed and cost, I think this is absolutely essential. And finally, which was important to me too, because I think it's a way to be successful in the future, is a real empowerment of the teams which are closest to the customer, which are the country teams. And those three things, product, logistic, cost, and empowerment of the country, were really the three things that decided.
And you're running the PC business, or the PC and the server business in Europe, or exactly?
Well, it's not Europe, it's Europe, Middle East, and Africa.
True. Good correction, thank you.
I always like to correct you when it's possible. So that's a region, and it is about phone, PCs and tablet, all the devices and all the infrastructure products.
Very good.
And I'm very good to be back in actions.
Very good to have you back, as long as you behave.
That's a different problem.
The PC market has not been good so far in 2015. I showed that our numbers around down 10% by units. How do you feel about the second half of the year and maybe looking forward to 2016? Where do you think the market's going? Will it continue declining? Can it start to recover?
Well, I think that it's not going to continue to decline. It's probably going to recover a little bit. It's also true that I think we should forget about the year when we saw double-digit growth or a certain growth. But I think it's probably going to stabilize at a certain level. I don't think it's going to continue to decline. And frankly speaking, we already start to see some good sign in some region or in some area already this quarter.
In commercial or consumer? Or?
It's relatively both. Commercial is better, but also consumer.
Okay.
For sure, US is not is better than other places. You also need to consider the economical situation. Is probably suffering much more in the emerging market, but simply because the emerging market are suffering from economy point of view.
Okay, let's go to the first question now through the app. It says, Windows 10 has launched, to not much excitement. The reviews seem to be positive. So what are your expectations for the uptake of Windows 10? Is it like a Windows 8 or a Windows Vista, or is it a Windows 7, a Windows XP? How do you feel about Windows 10?
I think that it's a little bit together with the PC market, but for sure Windows 10, at least in terms of performance and features, I don't think it's comparable to Windows 8 or Vista. We can expect for sure something better. It's going to help the market to recover a bit. It's going to be a great medicine, probably not. What is interesting to see, we have been running a different survey, at least through enterprise and commercial customers. There is quite a big number of commercial or enterprise customers that are seriously considered to move next year to Windows 10, which was not the case, frankly speaking, of Windows 8.
Mm-hmm. So maybe in 2016 we will see some sort of refresh cycle.
In my opinion, at least for enterprise, we will see a good refresh cycle in 2016.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay, and then the next question takes us on to the server and storage market. You've acquired a server business. You haven't acquired a storage business. The hype topic of the year is hyper-converged infrastructure. So are you going to partner in this space? Are you going to make another acquisition or develop your own storage maybe? How do you see this building out?
It's probably a combination of all these different things. From one side, we already have a good partnership on storage business with a couple of companies. We are seriously working on hyper-converged because we think this is still small, as you said this morning, but it's going to grow, and it's probably going to grow very, very fast in the next 5 years. So we are thinking about some partnership, but it's something where we are working. When we acquired the PC business, the server business from IBM, they were relatively strong in some segment, but not strong everywhere. Now, we are looking at different things. One is hyperscale, for example, where they were relatively weak. Today, probably we are the largest supplier in China for Baidu, Alibaba, and Tencent. Mm-hmm. And we are moving quite faster there. Another area where we are investing, it's hyper-converged. On the storage, and not only on the storage.
Okay.
I cannot say too much. But
no, you didn't say too much. Eric,
we are investing there.
You want to add anything about direction, server, storage?
There's not much to add on what has been said. Clearly, it's a mix of internal design and partnership.
Okay. Now, next question, I guess, for Gianfranco. Lenovo is obviously a Chinese company. And we've heard a lot of stories in Europe about the slowdown, supposedly, of the Chinese economy. How do you see the economy over there? Is it just a stock market panic, or has the real economy slowed?
It's a good question because it's true that we are a Chinese company, but today only 35% of our revenue is coming from China. Just so. Okay. We are a Chinese company. Not too much Chinese any longer, probably, at least in terms of business. More than 60% is coming from outside China. Economy in China, there is no doubt, is slowing down. Considering that for them slowing down, it's 6 point something GDP growth rather than 8. Here in Europe, we are happy when we talk about 1 to 1.5%. So It is slowing down, but it's still growing very, very fast. Stock market, we have seen similar things in Western world, I would say. Few years ago, right? I think they are taking all the action to come back to a stable stock market. They start to be successful. They really put a lot of things in place. And the economy, as soon as the worldwide economy will come back, will also come back in China, coming back to the famous 8 or even more percent growth. But frankly speaking, we are not really worried about the economy in China from our point of view, at least.
So you see a slowdown, but there's no risk of some sort of financial crisis there? Or?
I really don't think that there is a big risk on, there is any risk on financial crisis. As I said, if you look, bubbles are really, if you think about internet bubbles, it probably was much, much worse than what we have seen today or during these few months in China, right? So I really don't see the risk that for a big financial crisis. And I think they are taking all the action to stabilize the market and to be a little bit more careful on certain things.
Okay, you're optimistic.
They were a little bit too creative. But.
Yeah, interesting. Our team in China is very positive about the Chinese economy. But it's the question of, is the information inside China about China better or worse than the information that we get? Because they obviously get different information to what we get. And they're remarkably positive.
Well, I think most of the numbers you see are quite good numbers.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So maybe it's overplayed here. Now, this question, I don't know how you can answer this, but there are still a lot of PC companies in a market that's declining. It's surprising that the three big guys, Lenovo, HP, and Dell, haven't done more maybe to consolidate the market.
What we should do? More.
Well, in most industries, the big guys end up swallowing the small guys, acquiring the small guys. Get more market share in a particular country, maybe add a brand.
Or you just keep and wait.
So
you keep waiting, and it's going to happen anyway. So
it's taking a long time now.
I don't know. If I look today, I think during the last 2 years, if you take top 3, we grow share probably between 10 to 12%, right? In terms of consolidation. And we were used to talk about 10 to 15 players 2 years ago. Now, if you talk already about 5 to 6, it's already difficult to find the number 6 or 7.
But you don't feel any need to accelerate the trend. You can wait it out.
I think it's always a matter of return on the investment and how much it's going to cost you to accelerate rather than keep and wait and see. Because it's going to happen. If you don't have scale, it's really impossible to survive. So I think that small players within brackets, they will anyway disappear. I was telling these things 2 or 3 years ago, and some people were looking at me and say, okay, you are getting older, probably you are not so smart anymore. But now that more or less all the people are saying, okay, in 2 years from now, I think that we will see no more than 4 to 5 players left. So it's going to happen.
It's going to happen. We'll wait and see. Okay, and the next question, I guess, is similar. I'll pass it to Eric. There isn't much differentiation between the various PC devices. So when you're talking to customers or to partners, why go Lenovo PCs, not another brand?
I think that's what I started to say at the beginning, why I joined Lenovo. So I'm going to repeat it twice. So thank you for giving me this opportunity. I think it's about the full lineup, particularly with phones and tablet. It's becoming very difficult to make a difference between a phone, a tablet, a phablet, and so on. The fact that we have all the technologies from a form factor standpoint and from an ecosystem standpoint, as we do work a lot with Microsoft and with Android. So that large offering is, I think, a big differentiator. And same thing on the enterprise product side. The second thing is cost and speed of executions. And the fact that we own a fair amount of our own manufacturing, I think makes a big difference from a supply chain manufacturing expertise that leads to speed and cost. And finally, as I said, it's how do you empower your team to take decisions on a real time. So those three things, a full lineup of devices and enterprise products, cost and speed, and empowering the teams close to the customer. I think that's the way you win today in the PC market.
So you're talking differentiation by business model, not by product, essentially.
That's another way to say it.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a much simplified way, I think, but it doesn't remove the fact that you need to have great technology and great products. Don't get me wrong, but the fact you have a full offer, particularly on those devices side, I think makes a big difference. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to jump one question and then we'll come back to it. The next question is a good one. How do you see Microsoft? Are they a partner or a competitor? I notice, I don't believe you are reselling Microsoft Surfaces, or are you?
No.
No, we're not. No, we plan to.
And the other big two, we'll be asking them why they are in a few moments. How do you feel about Microsoft's decision yesterday to launch a notebook, effectively, a Surface book?
I'll let Gianfranco share his view. But as far as I'm concerned, I'm missing the link. I just don't get it. Now, to be fair, if they help the market to grow the $1,500 notebook PC, we'll be very happy because we can compete. But it's almost like a product showcase. And personally, I don't get it totally. And to answer your question, it's about a partner and a competitor. It's always been maybe more a competitor today. Yeah. But I'll let you give your guidance.
Yeah, they don't love me, so I don't have any big problem on that side. But it's quite interesting because we were talking about product and how you differentiate product. And I still believe that even on PC, that has been run by Intel for 25 or 30 years, you can still find a way to innovate. And funny enough, if I look at Microsoft, they come with the Surface Book, but we came with the yoga concept or with the convertible, detachable concept in 2012. So they are just 3 years late, which is not bad. They can always catch up, but if you think it's just 3 years late, they're coming with something that is not very different than our yoga product of 3 years ago of today. They say that, and we appreciate the effort, that they want to grow the ecosystem and develop the ecosystem. If they really can do it, I think it's good and great for the entire industry, and it's okay. When we say, are they a partner or a competitor, I totally agree with Eric, they are both today. Mm. They are a partner on certain things. We will need to be a little bit more careful on other things in terms of competition. But as you said, I say no to resell their product.
So they asked you and you said no?
No, they asked me more than 1 year ago.
More than 1 year ago, yeah.
And I said no, I don't see any reason why I should sell a product from within bracket competition. Mm-hmm. And I think we can develop as good a product as you are doing today. So I don't see any reason why we should do it.
Okay, well, it'll be interesting to see what HP and Dell answer to that question. And then the next question is, I spoke about Android PCs or hyper-converged tablets, the opportunity for Android and ARM-based products to take a share of the Wintel PC market. You think I was smoking something, or
I think you were. I think you were. I told you yesterday to stop smoking the little things, but it did help your creativity. I still don't get the notion of hyper-converged tablet personally, but now when you're down to Android taking a bigger portions of the device, whatever form of device you talk about, there's absolutely no doubt. And it's already a huge part of our shipments today. You know,
So why don't you talk about your phone business? Because I don't think the audience knows your phone business very well. And then bring us up to date on how it's doing in Europe, or EMEA, I should say.
So the phone business is pretty big in EMEA. Just to give the perspective in terms of units, it's relatively similar to the number of PCs we ship every quarter. Just
in
to give you
EMEA?
In EMEA, yes.
Wow.
We'd like to see it as a great opportunity for the future. So far, it was heavily coming from the emerging markets.
So Russia, the Middle East?
Russia, we're number 2 already, Middle East and Africa. And now with the acquisition of Motorola, we're really attacking the Western market. So it's big, and it's moving to phablet and eventually tablet, you know, all those things. So it's a large business. And as I said, it's a great opportunity because, and I would totally agree with what you said this morning on the operators versus the retail channel and resale channel. I think the phone business is really moving from that operator channel to a much broader channel. And we see more and more very large RFP popping up for large corporations, for instance, who basically squeezed or were focused on acquiring PCs and squeezing down the acquisition price and letting the organization buy phone the way they wanted. And you see that changing right now, which I think will be a great opportunity for us.
And when will the partners be able to sell phones in Western Europe?
Yeah, eventually.
Next year.
Within a year?
I was expecting you to come back, yes.
I was wondering how tough to be.
Yes, within the next 12 months, for sure, we'll have made dramatic progress there. We still need to understand the logistic and the supply chain and so on, and how to engage, because today it's too small, and I'm talking resale. For retail, it is happening as we speak in most of the European countries. For resale, I think I see an opportunity, and we'll work on it as well within the next 12 months. That's our plan.
And if I go back to the Android PC concept,
I knew you were coming.
Yeah. I would imagine you see a chance to be able to put pressure on Microsoft and Intel by developing another platform and at least giving them something to think about, and that would please you.
Well, talking about Android or any alternative to Intel or to Microsoft. First of all, you know, we ship already much more Android devices than Intel devices. I think we ship something between 20 to 25 million Android devices per quarter against 15 million PC per quarter. So the difference is already big. Is Android book or notebook or whatever a good alternative to Microsoft? Maybe. We also need to understand what Google thinks, because they may have today different opinion. But I think from industry point of view, or from our point of view, if we can run with multiple platform and multiple operating system and multiple solution, I think it's good for us. It's good for the channel and for our partners, and even more important, is much better for from the user point of view. Mm-hmm. So I really don't see. I think it can be a very good alternative, and I don't think it's going to be a threat to our industry.
Not a threat to you in your position in the industry, but possibly a threat to Microsoft or Intel.
This you need to ask them.
Yeah, we need to ask them. Yeah. Okay. Now this one's a bit challenging. Why are so many Lenovo products cheaper in retail than via distribution? I don't know if that's true, but that's the question. It makes it hard for the corporate channel here to engage.
Yeah, I don't understand totally, because we're talking about a corporate channel which should not sell much of the consumer products. So I'm not sure I totally understand the distribution, because most of those retail products are pure consumer products. We don't put any commercial products for retail. So it should not be the case, but I don't understand the question personally.
But forgive me, what is the difference between a consumer and corporate notebook today?
Well, it's a different set of features still, particularly on the security. You mentioned security this morning. There's still 4 or 5 features which are different. Now, if you tell me, will the market change and we go for consumerization of IT? Yeah, it's coming, but it's still not the case today. Beyond that, we have to deal with the multiple channels, which is another way to do product differentiation, which is another reason from time to time to do product differentiations. But the pricing has to be managed better than it is, if that's the case. But again, a consumer product should not be sold in the corporate channel, so don't understand totally the questions.
But there is still a big difference between a consumer notebook and a commercial notebook. In terms of features, in terms of cost, in terms of, you don't have vPro on a consumer notebook. Then do we need a vPro or not? It's a different question. But you don't have a vPro on a consumer notebook. You don't have TPM on a consumer notebook. You don't have a lot of things on a consumer notebook. That you still need, as I said, I'm not totally convinced that maybe this is a real need, but you still need on the commercial notebook.
Okay. Good. Well, the next question is really difficult, especially with HP sitting in the room and watching carefully how you answer it. Do you think there's scope for you to win business while HP split?
I would I'd love to have you answer that questions, and I'll add you words if you want.
Well, we bought the IBM server business because we think that there is a space to grow in that area, right? In the notebook business, in the PC business, I'm thinking that there should only be 4 or 5 players left. When I look at the server business, it's probably a little bit too small in terms of player today. So I think there is room there for us to grow. And frankly speaking, it's not that we are thinking that since HP is doing certain things rather than other people are doing different things, we need to focus on one rather than the other. I think we are just looking at the entire market and see what is the potential. We have a strong base in China. In China, we are already number 1 on the server business. And it's not coming from low end. It's coming from a good mix between SMB, hyperscale, and SAP application. And I think we have the same opportunity outside China. We have a great opportunity here in EMEA. We have a very big opportunity in US and in some other area. We just need to continue to grow. I think we took all the action during the last 6 to 9 months for the integration. And I think we are now with a very, very good setup. And we will continue to grow.
Okay. We're now getting some tougher questions, I have to say. So, Lenovo created an overstock at distribution, which has led to cash problems at the distributors.
This is why they are making more margin during the last 6 months.
True, margins were up.
You said that,
That's
right?
true. Overall, margins were up in the first 6 months of the year, yes, in Europe.
Interesting. We need more problem then.
Yeah. Does anyone need some more stock? Okay, the question is, how will you prevent the overstock happening again? I think it's fair to say that the market was slower than you expected in the first half. And
I don't think then I leave to Eric talking about EMEA because I don't know the situation so well. But when I look at the overall market, I think it's not the first time that most of the analysts, most of the we were thinking about the market even coming back to a certain growth or not slowing down too much. And we have been in a completely different situation. You can go back during the history of PC in the last 5 to 10 years, and you see the same situation probably 2 or 3 times, right? And then, of course, if you are number 5 or 6, your stock is small. If you are number 1 or 2, the stock start to be big because, and when these things happen, you have overstock. Usually we pay because the bill we pay is not small, and this is why I was joking, but I was also joking saying that, okay, from one side, you need to clean the inventory, you need to pay the bill of cleaning the inventory. But frankly speaking, I don't think the channel is really paying the bill. Otherwise, you will not see the margin going up from 0.7 to what was 1.1%.
True.
Right?
Good answer. Yeah, well prepared.
I was not prepared, but I just followed the logic.
So let me try that question slightly differently. And Eric, you only joined us 4 or 5 months ago. Are you going to change anything now that you've joined from previously?
So a couple of things on this inventory. It's true that I joined about 5 months ago, so mathematically you could make a correlation between me joining in May and the channel inventory exploding in May. That's a pure mathematical correlation. It's got nothing to do with reality. The fundamental is when you go from a +5 to a -25 market demand, it's really hard to avoid that this will happen. What I would like to add is when that happens, it's important that you invest to clean the situation. And this is what we've done, as painful as it is, for the last few months. Now, I guess your question was a bit broader than channel inventory. The first thing I'll do is keep most of what's working today, because a company that has increased 10 points its market share in 3 years is remarkable. So you first keep most of it. At the same time, it is a different company because it used to be a PC only, now it's a multi-segment company. So we have to adapt here and there. I'm not going to talk much about the phone, but one of the things where we are changing in a quite important manner, I would say, is on the customer acquisitions, on the commercial side. We've been really focused on consumer acquisitions. We've done a good job on commercial acquisition, but we can do much better. And this is about the sales coverage. If you don't show up at the customer, you have little chance to sell. And we absolutely, both in the mid-market and enterprise public sector, for servers and PCs, we're going to dramatically, and I'm really talking dramatically, increase our dedicated sales force focus on acquisitions. Because that's what's going to drive growth eventually in the commercial channel. And I think it's a good message for partners here, because obviously all our business is going through the channel. So as we grow, we're going to grow together.
Okay, and which takes us on pretty well to the next question. Would you say the integration of the IBM System X partners into the Lenovo channel has been a success?
Well, generally speaking, I would say, yeah. I mean, if this question is there, I'm sure there are problems here and there. As I said, I've been there for 4 or 5 months, and this is like a recent integration, so I'm sure we have things to tweak. But generally speaking, I would say it's going very well. We lost share, obviously, during the transitions, it's fair to say. I think we are in order now to go aggressively at acquiring new customers, working with our channel partners, both on the volume and on the value side. So if there are still some issues here and there, which I guess is maybe behind this question, so I'm not trying to say it's perfect. I'm just saying in 9 months, it's reasonably, I would say even it's good.
And what's your position on the value-added distributors versus the volume distributors? Obviously, IBM was much closer to the value-added or specialist guys.
Yeah, we need both. As I said, IBM was very focused on a very limited set of end-user customers.
Yeah.
And we will continue to take care of those customers, working with our value-added channel partners. At the same time, we need to grow the more volume-oriented part of the servers, and we absolutely can do both sides of the segments, if you wish.
Okay, I don't know if the next question is true. I presume it's true. Key members of the enterprise channel team in the UK have left since the acquisition. I guess that's talking about IBM people leaving, probably rather than Lenovo people leaving. What plans are there to ensure relationships are not harmed by these departures? Again for you, Eric.
I'm sure it's true if it's written there. Well, you know, during mergers and acquisitions, you lose some people decide to leave, others cannot make it. What's important for me is to make sure that we take care of our channel partners and our end users. So we will keep a dedicated server sales team to make sure that both on the end user side and on the channel side, we keep the engagement, the relationship. And if we have problems, we're here to fix them. We have regional team, and if you have issues behind these questions, and well, send me a note. I'll make sure it gets fixed. But we are absolutely committed to take care of both the end user and our channel partners.
Okay, we're only running towards the end of the presentation. There's two questions there about Motorola. One regarding why you're keeping the Motorola brand, and the other one, what kind of challenges you face with Motorola. Gianfranco, you want to answer this?
I think I need to ask, yes, to answer. Why we keep Motorola brand? But first of all, there is still a big value on the Motorola brand, at least in some region of the world. You may don't know, but Motorola is #1 in Brazil. Then okay, the economy in Brazil is not doing great. There are some other issues, but it's #1 in Brazil, and it's very strong overall in Latin America. Motorola is still perceived as a strong US brand in US. So this is one of the reasons why we keep Motorola brand at a worldwide level. Because there is still a big value, and we don't see any reason why we should destroy this value by changing the brand. We are doing certain things in terms of integrating the product line, looking at in terms of product portfolio, and to make sure that we avoid overlap and other things. I'm not a phone expert. It's the only thing I don't take care in the company's phone. So but I'm trying to answer. But they are doing a lot of things in terms of product integration and how to avoid duplication. But we will continue to keep Moto brand, as I said, simply because there is a big value in some region of the world. Might be a little bit less here in Europe or in Western Europe, but it's very different in other parts of the world. What was the second question?
The second question was there's obviously been some issues in the integration. There was some statement on your financials, cost of integration. What kind of issues have you been facing with the Motorola integration?
No, I think that with the Motorola integration, I would say the phone business, it's by definition not an easy business. There are very few people making money on phone, and a long list of people losing money on phone. I think that we have seen, as I said, we were extremely strong in Latin America, and the Latin America market has been slowing down drastically during the last 6 months. Mm-hmm. And this is one of the reasons we are facing for Moto. In terms of new product introduction, I think they announced, or they are going to announce new product during this period of time. But we have been relatively late in terms of new product. And the phone business in terms of dynamic is very, very different than PC or even... and then I think we also see some slowdown in China for other reasons. If you look at our financial statement last quarter, we were extremely good on PC. Mm-hmm. Start to be good on server in terms of growth and not losing money. Still some loss on Moto. We are taking all the action. We have been taking all the action during this quarter. It will be. It has been finished in September. As I said, in terms of product roadmap, in terms of supply chain, also in terms of coverage. In terms of go-to-market and sales and marketing coverage. And we are still very, very confident that within the next 2 to 4 quarters, we are back to break even on the Motorola business, on the phone business as well.
Okay, good. Well, we're getting close to wrapping up. We'll just finish on for the live questions of the top one, which is really an opportunity, I think, for you both know the channel well. So how are the channel partners evolving? Are there any best practices you want to share? Any advice? Thoughts you want to leave with the channel and how they should take their business forward?
Well, I think this, the reseller channel and the district channel in general has evolved fairly well over the last 10, 15 years as we went through all those crises. I find it far more structured and far more focused on segments. I think we came from a fairly generalist environment, and we see more and more when we have the discussions with the resellers, a clearer focus on their business. You know, either whether it's solution driven or whether it's more transactional. I think that's pretty remarkable in that aspect. And I'd like to congratulate as well the disties for the reduction of costs and the efficiency they've been adding in the system.
Okay. Gianfranco, you want to add any words for the channel partners?
No, I think that, you know, we have been committed to the channel since day one, and we will continue to be committed to the channel. I always believe that there is no way to reach an end user without a good channel coverage. In my opinion, probably in the real difference I see that again, thinking about consolidation and thinking about a relatively small number of players left in 2-3 years from now, probably the concept of partnership is also going to change, because it's going to become even more tight and more close than before. Because if you can think about, you need to think about working with really a small number of suppliers when you think about both PC and server, which was probably not the case a few years ago. You could still play with a lot of different suppliers and thinking where is going to be the best offer and so on. This thing is for sure true, very true for retail, but I think it's going to be true also for our channel partners. So I think partnership will become even more important from both sides.
Okay, and then we'll wrap up with the final question of the day. What are your industry predictions for the next 12 months?
Which industry are you talking about? Because
IT industry, I presume.
No, but because it's very, very. When I think about industry, you know, it's very. We are running from, as I said, from smartphone to PC.
Give us a prediction about the wine industry then.
The wine industry is very, very different, very interesting, but much slower than PC. And very good too, yes. The margin is a little bit different in terms of.
Eric, you prefer French wine or Italian wine these days?
Could you go to the next questions? Fundamentally, I'd like good wines, wherever they come from.
Very good answer.
It's really different. And if I look at PC, as I said, I think that we will see next year stabilizing in terms of both in terms of growth. I don't expect to come back to any big growth, but also not the decline we have seen during the last 6 to 9 months. Phone, I think, is going to be very, very interesting because there are some interesting evolution in the market. From operator point of view, some player point of view, even from technology point of view, there are a lot of things changing. So phone is still evolving very, very fast. And server, you know, it's more phone you have around the world and more infrastructure you need. So server will continue to grow. Okay. So it's really very, very different depending on which market or which industry are. Saying IT is probably a little bit too wide.
Okay. Eric, one final comment or?
Well, sure. I mean, I'd like to repeat it one more time maybe, but I think it's, I would share the view on 16, first of all, because 15 is so much down that when you've resetted your expectations and and your cost and your structure, I see 16 as offering good opportunities in the 3 segments we've talked about. I'm convinced that at Lenovo we have what it takes, as I said, to be successful, whether it's a full product line, cost and efficiencies, and local empowerment. We will add, we have been and we are investing drastically on new customer acquisition to maintain huge growth, even more in commercial than on consumer, I think, for the coming year, because I think Windows 10 will play a big role there. And as we grow, we want to engage even more with our channel partners, as we have a very simple rule of engagement, as we do not sell direct. So looking forward working with you and making good business over the next 12 months.
Okay, thank you very much.